Hello, Mark Red Larson here for the Dreamcatcher podcast. Thanks for joining us. Today, my wife, I got her talked into doing another episode. Actually, we're kind of doing some new things today, so we're
New software.
yeah, and we've used StreamYard, but they've added a lot of different things to it, so which is kind of interesting. But today, this podcast is the topic's going to be adversity is part of the dream catching journey, and it truly is, isn't it, Cheryl? So
Adversity is part of life, no matter what you think.
it is, and it's something that I think most people, when they're going to catch their dreams, they get the the adrenaline. I'm going to go catch my dreams, and then when it doesn't occur, then it's just like you just kind of give up. You just like, well, that wasn't what I thought it was going to be. It's not for me. It's just it isn't what people they tell you. They don't tell you when you get out of school that they have all this, like if you do A and B and it equals C and D or whatever it is, it probably X and Z or something like that. But adversity is, and adversity has been part of Cheryl and I's life. For anybody who's listening to this podcast, it's been part of our life for a while now, and it makes you stronger.
Always.
It is. Yeah.
There's small hurdles, and then there's ones that feel insurmountable. And I think that people kind of, when they have a dream, they think it's going to be all sunshine and unicorns and bunnies and all of that. And you get into it and you realize it's like everything. It takes a lot more to do something well than it really appears. It's like that old adage that the duck or the swan looks really calm on the surface when they're going across the water, but they're pedaling like heck.
Yes. So no, it is. And actually, my dad sent me a thing about success and adversity, and I'm going to read what Winston Churchill stated. He said, "Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts." And that is a great quote or statement, because a lot of times you want to give up about the time you're probably going to maybe have your breakthrough, but you just need to keep going, because it is the way life is. It is the way doing a podcast. It is whatever your dream is. And past podcasts, easy for me to say, if the dream was given to you, you have the ability to do it. But we just think that, and you have to go through the adversity to become the person that can live that dream and keep that dream. And it's just something that when they teach you all these things that you're going to go out and be whatever it is, even if you just want to be, start your own business. That sounds really awesome. You don't want to work for somebody anymore. And you got this great idea, and but they don't tell you,
how much work you're going to do. You're the boss. You do.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think it's awesome. I love being self-employed, and pretty much almost always have been. But there are so much, because it's all on you, and they don't tell you all the stuff of doing the taxes and
regulations are just ridiculous.
Yeah, there's plenty of that stuff. But it also comes from doing your dreams. There's these things, these side things that take you away from your dream for a little bit, that that you just have to do if you really truly want the dream. And it's when life gets really good, because it's like, hey, I did that. I did that, and maybe I can do this dream. Maybe I can do this business. Maybe I can do speaking. Maybe I can do a podcast. Maybe you can be an artist. So it is. Well, you've always wanted to be an artist. You have 2 degrees in that, but
yes, but people don't like.
But you have to keep going. You're
I know.
Just like I say on this podcast, your audience is out there. My audience it's taken a while, but my audience is just kind of starting to find me. And your audience for your artwork would be out there. And we also think that it's going to be in a certain timeline. And let me tell you, there is no timeline. It is, it just is what the timeline it'll be. And it's just, you got to keep going. You got to keep going. You got to keep pushing. And it's the discipline. And I always thought discipline was kind of highly overrated. Discipline does give you the freedom to do what you want. It's like whether you're working out, whether you're doing a podcast, whether you're wanting to lose weight, it all comes down to the discipline and doing the things that you don't want to do day in and day out, because there is where the magic happens. You finally see.
Well, and you're going to do that if you're working for somebody else. You're going to do what they want, not what you want.
Mhm.
And so that's part of it. But I don't think people speak about adversity in a way of how do you get through it? How do you, when you have no hope, how is it that you go to and do the next thing? And sometimes you just do it because you do it.
Mhm.
And it can be, you can work and do all sorts of things. I mean, we've worked really hard on a lot of things and had absolutely nothing come from it.
True.
And it's very disheartening. Very
It is.
disheartening. So yeah, you pick yourself up and move on. It doesn't mean you give up. You just not yet. As I was telling a young kid that he wants to be a soccer star.
Yeah,
And
Jack.
he is working his little patootie off.
He is.
Let me tell you, this kid is doing extra
Amazing
stuff
kid.
outside of what
He
he's
wants
been
that
working
dream
on.
badly.
And he posted something that said overlooked, but still working, basically. And I told him, said, oh, not overlooked, just not yet. And it may not come in the way you have envisioned. It might come in a way that's better or less. It doesn't matter. You got to understand that this is not the absolute, you decide, okay, how many people decide that they're going to be singing stars. And I've known several people in the entertainment that there's things that have happened, health issues and such. We actually know 2 individuals that are extremely talented, but neither one are well enough basically to pursue what they want.
Mhm.
And that's got to be so hard. And you feel for them.
You do.
But sometimes talent and work don't really make it. And so how do you deal with that? You don't give up. It just becomes in a different fashion.
Yep, kind of a different way.
And I think that's one of the problems with the way things are set up with it. You get on your phone and you get instant everything. And
Yes.
It's gotten worse as we've progressed into having the phones and such. And yes, it's wonderful. I am not having an issue with that, but it does kind of train you to think that things happen instantly, and they do not.
No, they
And
do
if
not.
they do, it's temporary, and if you haven't done the reps, as they always say, and even if you do the reps, sometimes it doesn't come out. So how do you focus yourself to move to the next position to do what it is that you're hoping to do?
Yeah.
And that's a hard place. It is. It's a hard place. I
Yep.
know when I had cancer and I had times where I thought things were going well and it wasn't. And I'm still here, so I'm very, very lucky. But I definitely know what it's like to sit there and think, this isn't working and things are not going well. And, your dream, maybe you probably weren't going to die, but it kind of feels like it.
Mhm.
And so to just sometimes it's just taking that first breath or that next breath and
Yes.
moving forward. And sometimes that takes more than you can do. And that's when you got to lean into friends and family and coworkers or whomever it is that is in your circle, because that lean in is where it's going to get you to the next place. And I don't think that we are taught that very well.
No, I don't think so
in
either.
school, it's the kids that get the A's get the attention, and the sports people, they get the attention and that type of thing. And so we're not taught, especially as if you're not the star of something at this point, who do you lean into? And some
True.
people don't have family, some people don't have friends, and it doesn't mean that you don't deserve those things. It just means that it's not in your life at that point. And so how do you take the breath to move on? And so that does take a lot of digging down in deep and
Yes.
just having faith to move next.
Yeah, having faith that
and
everything's good. God's there. And then hopefully tomorrow will be better.
yeah.
So, and you were talking about, that's one thing with these people that win the lottery, kids that get money from their parents, a lot of money. They haven't gone through the adversity to really be able to keep it, or the reps, as you say, to keep it. That's why most people that win the lottery are broke again within very few months. That's why a lot of kids that get the really nice stuff from their parents don't appreciate it. I think you appreciate it when you go through the reps of the journey of catching your dream, because you really, it's just you need to go through the reps of going the adversity Adversity makes you appreciate what you get. And when you appreciate something, you're more likely going to take care of it and make sure that you keep the journey. And so, yeah, it's just,
Well, and feelings are important, but they also are temporary.
yes.
On most things. Most things are a decision. And sometimes that decision is really dig in and pull up your panties and do it, and
big boy pants or whatever you got on, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
So, no, and that is very true. But yeah, adversity, in adversity, I think it's bad, but I think it also makes you, I know it makes you stronger. And in the long run, that being stronger, you're able to take care of more stuff that you would have come up in your life that you may not have before. So that part, I think, is a plus. And that's not a thing that you hear from adversity. You always think adversity is negative. And at the time, it feels negative. Oh, yeah. But when you get through it, it's like, I can do so much more now because, and that's what Cheryl and I have gone through the last almost 2 years now. I can do so much more without even really being affected by it. I just go through it, just do it. And there's been a lot of things that have, oh my gosh, some of that stuff has been really, really tough to do. So, but yeah, that's dreams. Dreams, it's not a straight path to your dreams. It is, I mean, it's all over the place. Kind of like somebody's crayoning and stuff when you're a little kid. That's kind of what it looks like, but it's worth it. Don't get me wrong. Catching your dreams is worth it. And like with the stuff that Cheryl, I said, the people are out there for you to catch your dreams because I'm a big fan of Ripple. And Ripple, when you catch your dreams, then you're able to help other people with their dreams. Kind of like what we're doing with this podcast and everything else we're doing. People are resonating. I've got some amazing people coming up this week that I'm going to talk to. You get out there and they like what they're seeing. And it's just, you never know the adversity you're going through, what positive influence and ripple to the world it's going to
Well, and sometimes it's not going to be for you.
That is true.
Someone else. That was one thing I learned when I was having people give me rides to my chemo treatments is, they were being very generous. I'm not saying that. But one little gal said to me, it was an offhand comment, but it really stuck with me. She says, I couldn't do this for my grandpa. And, a lot of times you do things that's maybe it is for that person, but sometimes it's for your grandpa,
Yeah, true.
Or whomever it was that was, you couldn't help at that point and you desperately wanted to, but just couldn't for whatever reason. And so, sometimes adversity isn't for you, it's for someone else so you can help them later.
Yeah.
And I know that there are going to be people that are going to have issue with that because there are some things that happen and are just horrific. And I'm not one that says, there's a lesson, but I find that for me, having to go through something and at the time you're just getting through it and that's all you can focus on. But later you learn from things, and even if it's a positive thing or a negative thing, you learn from it.
Yep.
And it just depends on you as to how much you want to learn. I learned a lot about myself, good things and bad things, when I was sick and what's been going on lately. It just things that you thought about yourself aren't true, or they are true depending on the situation. And so, like I say, do it for grandpa. Yeah,
and it is. And that's another reason to do that, just because you don't know the people you're helping. And even if you really if they don't even say anything, you don't know the people. Kind of like when you meet somebody, you don't know the influence you're having. Maybe they're having a really bad day and you smile at them. And maybe that makes their day that much better. And
and you just step forward in positive light.
Yes.
And they get a rap because people just get so fed up with the little sayings on the wall, and people have T-shirts and that type of thing, but yet they don't go through with what they're supposedly involved or supposed to be in line with. And so I understand that's why people can get upset about things, but it is, I keep saying, it's a choice. And
it is a choice.
Sometimes you don't feel like you have any choices, and I get that, but moving forward, and sometimes you need distance. from something before you really can understand what went on, why it went on, or why you reacted the way you did, and then, and then have a chance to think about it and realize that, okay, yes, I wasn't very classy anyway. You go on to the next thing and you know how to do it better next time, and hopefully it's not something horrible, but maybe you can help someone else. You see what's going on with them and recognize, because you've been there, worn those shoes, whatever.
Yes. So, well, I think to end on the podcast, I think I'm going to read from William Shakespeare, a quote from him. He says, "Let me embrace the sour adversity, for wise men say it's the wisest course." And it is. It doesn't.
Well, you don't get a choice anyway.
Well, but
you really don't on some things.
But it is. It is the wisest in the long term. I truly believe it is the wisest course. I mean, when you have like cancer and you don't, make it through it or something like that, then but it's a thing that there's no guarantees, no promises in this life, but you still got to go forward to get the best life. Otherwise, you'll live a mediocre life and working for the weekend, working for a vacation, and get to the end and have not done anything that you really wanted to do except for work. And we were just talking about, even today, we're recording this on a Sunday, and how many people some people are scheduled for the weekend, but some people never take a day off. And God doesn't put you here just to work. And he put you here to make a difference. And on that, I'm going to end this episode of the Dreamcatcher podcast. Thanks for joining Cheryl and I. And until next time, take care.